Yeah, let's make sure that you guys, owl, are you? I'm gonna move things.
That's okay. Corey's not here. He was the bad guy last year, so. Yeah. Yeah, I can.
I remember her saying that. Testing. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 6th Annual Winter Maintenance Forum, brought to you by Fast Planning. My name is Jackson Fox. I'm the Director of Fast Planning. And if you haven't attended one of our winter maintenance forums in the past, really what the purpose of tonight is to share with the public kind of what to expect and what to not to expect with regard to winter maintenance operations with all of our local partners here. So tonight, as we've had in the past, we have a lineup of speakers, which is really all the area maintenance managers responsible for snow clearing on our transportation network throughout Fairbanks and North Pole. So you'll hear tonight from DOT, Maintenance and Operations, both the City of Fairbanks and City of North Pole, the Public Works Departments, and as well as the Fairbanks North Star Borough, a few of their divisions, with the school district, with Parks and Rec, and also Max Transit. And then towards the end of the evening here, you're going to get a presentation on winter biking by Dorian Granger of Bankstown Bike and Ski. So as you can see the agenda here up on the screen, we're going to have a series of presentations. The format of this is about 10 minutes per presentation. We're asking that you hold your questions until the presentation is complete. We'll give about 5 minutes or so for Q&A with those speakers. So we'll be able to get to a few questions, but as you see, we have a long list of speakers tonight. So we're going to try to kind of keep things rolling on. In the middle of the presentations, we have some door prizes, which are up on the table at the front here to give out based on the red tickets that you have. And then the blue tickets that were handed out in the building here, that's for the raffle for the fat bike that's being given away courtesy of Bankstown Bike and Ski. So at this time, I'd like to invite Olivia up real quick to go through a few housekeeping items, and then I will be your first speaker of the night to give you some background on Fast Planning, who we are and what we do before we turn it over to the rest of our presenters.
Thanks, Jackson. Hi, I'm Olivia, Transportation Planner with Fast Planning. Thank you all so much for coming. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind signing in via this digital sign-in sheet, you can scan the QR code from your seat, or we will also be passing around just like the physical sign-in sheet as well. So if you prefer to not do the digital one, the thing about this sign-in sheet is that it has a question on it. How did you find out about this? And as the outreach person for Fast Planning, I would really like to know that. Some other housekeeping items for folks, both in person and online. You're both eligible for the door prizes, so that will be your red ticket. So keep that handy. We've got lots of door prizes, high-vis stuff, blinky lights, stuff to keep you warm, and then a couple sets of those micro spikes that are really, really good at keeping you upright as well when you're walking around. the fire exit, there are two options for you to leave the building, to the left and to the right. And then the bathrooms, I think you guys know where those are. I'm so short, I should have moved that forever ago. And then there will be time for Q&A, sign-in sheets, and then the fat bike drawing, of course, is in person only. Nobody's really asked me why yet, but my answer is that we can't mail this fat bike. That's what I'm gonna say. But anyways, in person only for the fat bike, plus I kind of wanted to celebrate in person, you know. So I think that that's everything for now, and enjoy. Please ask questions if you have them. That is another reason why we're here. Okay.
All right, thanks, Olivia. So again, my name is Jackson Fox with Fast Planning, and I'm going to give you a short presentation here. It's kind of a Fast Plan 101 about who we are, what we do, let you know what committees that we have. All of our committee meetings are open to the public. There's monthly meetings where members of the public can engage with the topics that we discuss and the decisions that we make. I'm going to talk a little bit about our planning work related to the transportation network here in Fairbanks North Pole. Let you know about our construction program, and then show off to you all, this is something I shared last year, but I'm going to share it again this year, a really cool map that our Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee created, which prioritizes snow removal for sidewalks and paths throughout our area. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Olivia real briefly. We also have an interactive map on our website called Who Maintains My Road? And so it's a map that you can zoom into your neighborhood or any road of interest, click on that road, and it pops up information for who the area maintenance manager is, what their phone number is, what their email is, what the agency that's responsible for maintenance of that roadway, so that folks don't have to make 13 phone calls before they find the right person they're trying to reach. Okay, so a little background on Fast Planning. We are what's called, in the federal government side, a metropolitan planning organization. And there are about 400 metropolitan planning organizations throughout the country. These organizations are federally mandated to exist. It also comes with federal funding to do our planning work and a little bit of money to do some construction projects here locally. But really what it is it's for urbanized areas throughout the US. And what an urbanized area is 50,000 or more people in densely settled census blocks. So in Alaska, there are currently 2 urbanized areas, Anchorage and Fairbanks, but with the results of the 2020 census, there a third urbanized area has popped up in the state in the Mat-Su region, and so they are creating a metropolitan planning organization like ours down in Palmer and Wasilla. We get about $12.5 million of funding each year, again, to do our planning work and to invest the remainder of that money into local road improvements. And we are responsible for the transportation planning for the road network on behalf of DOT, the 2 cities and the borough here locally. But also as part of this process, these types of organizations like ourselves, we empower the local governments to be part of that decision-making process and how federal highway funding is spent here locally. And all throughout the way, we're engaging the public in those transportation planning decisions and funding decisions through our committee structure. So this is the area that we serve. Again, this is based on something that comes out of the US Census. As you can see on the map here, our boundary includes the full city limits for Fairbanks and North Pole. A very small portion of the borough, really just that urban core. Fort Wainwright is within our boundary, as well as the entire UAF campus. We've got a pretty small office. We are located in the Key Bank building on the 2nd floor. We have 4 staff members in our office. So myself as director, we have 2 full-time transportation planners, and then we have 1 administrative assistant that works for us part-time. We also have some support staff where we share some federal money for a couple positions at the borough, their transportation planner, as well as at DOT in their planning section to assist us with our work. And we all report to what's called a policy board. This is also the board of directors for our 501c3 nonprofit corporation. But as you can see here on the screen, our policy board has a list of very important folks here locally to engage in that decision making for how federal highway funding is spent here locally. So we have all 3 local mayors for the 2 cities in the borough. We have an extra assembly member seat and a city council seat, and then we have 2 state seats, one for the Department of Transportation and one for the Department of Environmental Conservation here. But again, this is the makeup of the board that makes the decisions, and this is how we empower local governments by giving them a seat at the table to vote on topics as they come across. The primary advisory body to our board is what we call a technical committee, and really what this is made up of is department heads at our various, member agencies that we work with. So Department of Transportation, both their pre-construction department as well as their planning department, City of Fairbanks, their engineering department, City of North Pole, we have the Director of City Services, you'll hear from later on tonight. And we have seats for University of Alaska Fairbanks. We have a public safety representative, so there's a state trooper that serves on this committee, as well as representatives for the Fairbanks International Airport and Fort Wainwright. But we also have a few other committees that support that technical committee as recommendations are passed up to our policy board. So on this list here, you'll see the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which I previously mentioned. This is primarily made up of citizens, local citizens, advocates for walking and biking needs here locally. We also have a project enhancement committee that looks at the design of transportation projects in our area and makes specific recommendations on those designs. And then we have our seasonal mobility task force, which you'll hear from many of the members of that task force here tonight in these presentations. It's primarily made up of all of our area maintenance managers. But the work that we do, our primary focus is transportation planning. Again, we do receive a little bit of money for transportation projects, but our primary mission is actually transportation planning. So we developed the long-range transportation plan for the road network in Fairbanks and North Pole. This is a 20-year look at our network. We do update that every 4 years. We also have what we call our Transportation Improvement Program, which is our 4-year short-range funding plan for all of those road improvements that both we fund through our allocation of federal money, but also all the projects that DOT is funding on the highway system. We have a 2-year staff work plan, a public participation plan, but what I'd like to point out here is that we also have a lot of supplemental plans for our area, which focus on particular user groups. So you can see at the top there, we have a non-motorized plan that really focuses on asphalt paths and sidewalks. This is not a plan where we have trails included. This really is those sidewalks and paths that are attached to our main transportation network. We are right now working on a transit plan update on behalf of the borough. We have safe routes to school plans for every middle school and elementary school within our boundary. And we're expanding that now to high schools in the new year. And freight mobility plan, we have a road surface area expansion plan, a road crossing reduction plan, et cetera. So again, supplemental plans that really focus on particular user groups of our network. And then with the balance of funding, because planning doesn't take up that entire 12 million that we receive, again, we invest into local road improvements. Since $12 million is really not a lot of money when you talk about road improvements here locally. We tend to invest that into smaller projects, and we try to get a good cross-section of the community across Fairbanks and North Pole. So we typically invest that into city streets, borough road service area roads. Much of the road work that you see up at the UAF campus that has been funded through fast planning through this allocation. And we do resurfacing of asphalt paths and sidewalk upgrades as well. So, and we try to devote, with the funding that we have, we try to devote 80% of that to traditional motorized projects and 20% to non-motorized projects. But again, part of the picture of what you see for construction here in Fairbanks, that 12 million is only a small portion of the amount of money, federal highway money, that's invested into our road network. So DOT has a lot deeper pockets and a lot of other federal funding sources that they can invest into the highway system. So when you look at what's happening around town, an example would be this past summer, one of the fast planning projects was the 5th Avenue reconstruction in downtown Fairbanks. Whereas a large DOT project would be like the GARS intersection, and then coming up here the Steese Johansson interchange. So all said and done, in any given construction season, there's typically in excess of $50 million in construction projects between Fairbanks and North Pole. So we're just a small piece of that picture, focusing again on local road improvements. So as I mentioned in my introduction here, I'd like to share with you a map that was created over numerous months by our Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, trying to map out priority routes for snow removal on sidewalks and paths. But I wanted to show you first, if you go to DOT's website and you look at the priority routes that they have established, it does. The map that you see online, it's interactive. You can zoom into your area to see what priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, 4, et cetera, roads are for clearing snow. This map is really focused on, clearing the roadway or clearing the travel lanes, so that there is, so that vehicles can move freely throughout our area. So I put an arrow there at the bottom there related to sidewalks and paths, and I'll read it out loud to you all, but on this map, it says most sidewalks are assigned the same priority level as adjacent roadways, but will have a different level of service or response time due to availability of services. So again, when we have a snow event, really the priority is to clear those roads so that vehicles can utilize the network, and sidewalks and paths kind of come in second as a lower priority. So in reality, with what happens with operations at DOT and the city, et cetera, is that there are actually many miles of sidewalks and paths that never get plowed during the winter, or maybe they get plowed once, or maybe they get plowed, 2 or 3 times over the course of the winter. But the maintenance is a little bit inconsistent, and there are definitely facilities that don't receive any attention, and that's due to a variety of issues. Vacancies in those departments to complete the work, but also budget constraints, which you'll hear more about here tonight. And then the other issue here with prioritizing sidewalks and paths for maintenance is that if you have a snow event and it's kind of all hands on deck for our area maintenance managers to go clear those roadways. Say the snow's a foot and they go out there and start following the priority system, clearing those roadways, but then it keeps snowing. They basically have to go back to square one at 0 and then start clearing all those roads a second time. And only after all that work is complete from a major snow event is there time and staff available to take care of those sidewalks and paths. And I will say that the #1 public comment that we receive at fast planning and all of our transportation planning processes relates to lack of winter maintenance for these sidewalk and path facilities. So that is our most common public comment that we receive at our organization.
As well, it should be.
Yeah. So this is the map that we created through our Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I could give you a presentation an hour long on how this map was created, but it does relate to where people do actively use sidewalks and paths in our community on a year-round basis, as well as important things like connections to transit stops. But this is a map that's published on the Fast Planning website. We'll give you a link to that here in a moment. But this shows you that if our maintenance departments across all of our agencies, if they were fully staffed and they had enough budget, this is the plan that we would like them to follow at some point in the future, if we could get there. So we did create this map, and it's really for purposes of discussion because we have established priorities through, again, local citizen advisory group. But that map at this time is what I consider aspirational. So it is something that we would like to see our maintenance managers follow and do and complete that work. But the reality is that there are staffing shortages at each one of these agencies, with regard to operators, laborers, et cetera, to be able to accomplish that work. And there's also budget challenges. So, but the question, and this is kind of rhetorical, not asking the audience to answer this, but I think looking at a vision towards our future, we want to try to make maintenance equitable for all users. So some folks don't own a car, and they rely on walking to that transit stop to get on the bus to get to their destination, whether it's work or school or appointment or even just shopping. And so, I think we need to focus on, again, making the effort that you see out there on the roads when you have a snow event more equitable for all users rather than say just vehicles. So an idea that we've been kind of pushing, and I think we have pretty strong support from DOT on this, is that, potentially in talking with the governor and the legislature, if we could get some maintenance funding that is dedicated to winter maintenance of these non-motorized facilities. So a bucket of funding that's dedicated for this work. Potentially, DOT as well as our local government partners, the cities and the borough, could potentially add to that bucket of funding to try to outsource that work to local contractors. So this would alleviate, the staff at, say, City Public Works or DOT M&O from having to clear those sidewalks and paths. It's an entirely different crew. It's a private company. They have a bunch of Bobcats or whatever it may have you. And that crew can literally follow DOT and City Public Works as they do their snow removal operations on the roadway. So it's a separate crew that can be timed kind of back to back to take care of the entire facility. So anyways, this is something that we're trying to push out there for the public to think about. And as you talk to your local legislators, to mention this idea and show some support for it. And I'm gonna turn it over to Olivia real quick to talk about the other interactive map that we have on our website called Who Maintains My Road.
All right, so if some of you were at the Michigan Forum a couple of years ago, we did demo this map. Then I'm just gonna show you if I can find. Okay, I'm just gonna show you how to find it. So let's see, fast planning. All right, so we can just go resources, maps. And then, this is hard to do from here, okay, and then who maintains my road. We've got another attendee on Zoom, welcome. So the point of this map was really just to help people sort of hone in on who to contact for their road if they do have questions about maintenance, and then also educate people on the fact that there are lots of orphan roads in the borough and metropolitan planning area, and what have you. So this really lightish yellow color is an orphan road, which means that there is no maintenance authority for that road. And then the greenish, the olive green one is road service area roads. And there are so many road service areas within the borough. We did have rural services lined up to come and present tonight, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. So I'm going to show you just how to find out what road service area you're in as well, just so we can cover that base as well. And then of course we've got the DOT roads and the city roads. So in theory, you can geolocate yourself from over here. If I do it from this laptop, it takes me to Seattle, so I'm not going to do it. But let's say we're in the downtown core, which we are, and it takes you to this area. You can click on this road and see, okay, this is a city road. That means, is it the city of Fairbanks, North Pole? Well, we're in Fairbanks, so that's how we know. Gives you a phone number, gives you an email address, and then I also linked everyone or each of these roads to the actual entity's website so that you can also go through them as well if you would like. So let's just use a road service area as an example. The tool that the borough has created for their road service area locating is very robust. So it might not work while I'm demoing it here, but basically you can click on the road, you can see, okay, I am on this street and this is in the UAF road service area. So right there you get 2 clues, and then you can just link to the borough's GIS tool. And then through this tool, which again, I'm not really sure how well this will work. Wow, Morris Thompson Center's got some great internet. You can type in, what was it, UAF was that road service area. So you can go, of course, now results are found. You should be able to find the road service area. I should have picked one. I should have pre-tested this, but I didn't. Anyways, College Road, there we go. Again, I didn't make this tool, so it's not as intuitive, but here we go. You can click on that, and then the names of the commissioners that you can contact for the issues or questions that you have in your road service area are also listed in this tool. So I just want people to know, again, it's not worth going super in depth with right now, but I just want people to know that this map exists, and Since we launched it, it's got like 5,000 plus views at this point. So people are using it every day and year round. So it's not just for winter, and it is for everybody. So with that, I'll give it back to Jackson.
Okay, this is a QR code if you want to scan that. So you can look at this map on your phone, on your tablet, or on your computer there, but I'll leave this slide up here for a minute. And we're going to transition now over to, I believe our first speaker is Dan Shocker with the Alaska Department of Transportation, Maintenance and Operations.
Yep. Don't worry if there's a Zoom pop up.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us tonight. So I'm with the Alaska DOT here in Fairbanks, but I am the Northern Region Maintenance Manager, so I'm not just responsible for Fairbanks. I take care of everything in the Northern Region, everything out west, everything all the way up on the North Slope and all the way down to Valdez on the Ridge. So pretty large area that we take care of here out of Fairbanks and our headquarters. So this may be my last presentation here because the new superintendent is now hired for Fairbanks. So I'm doing it this year, but maybe next year I won't be. So I'm glad to be here tonight. So we have a lot of diverse system users, and like Jackson mentioned, these are all competing users. Whether it's the kids getting to school on a school bus, the pedestrians out there walking, trying to get to where they need to go, the dog teams on the trails, mass transit. Some roads in our area, 30,000 cars a day go down, so we got a lot of people. And of course, our bikers. If you guys don't know Nathan Bells, that's a pretty cool picture that Nathan took and gave to me not that long ago. So a lot of competing interests here in our area. We're all competing for that same maintenance dollar to take care of the facilities that are important to them. So I just want to show you the differences in what we are challenged and faced with, and all the different people that want to see us focus on what's really important to them. So it's a juggling act for us continuously. So where we're at today, our budget has been flat for quite some time. As everybody knows, prices aren't going down, right? Groceries, fuel, anything we do, the prices are continuously going up. So with that flat budget, we're actually taking a reduction, right? Just like our home budget at home. If you don't get a raise, you are actually losing money. So we have a very small amount of overtime in our budget that we put in, and we use it very, very, very carefully. And we keep adding new features, like Jackson mentioned, over $50 million every year put into just Fairbanks. In the Northern Region, we build probably $300 million in projects every year, and we're adding to that. We ask for budget increments, and we've yet to receive one. So take care of all these extra lane miles, facilities, nice things that we want to have, but do it with the same amount of money. And again, less amount of money because of inflation. Our vacancy rates are crazy. 25 to 30%, running right now 35% in Fairbanks for our operators. So think about that. I mean, the thousands of hours that we are not putting out there on the roads because we don't have people to actually put in the equipment that we have. So that's a real challenge for us. Nome and Valdez, 60% vacancy rates. So those folks are working an awful lot of overtime. Got a call from Kotzebue today, 18 days straight, 12 hours a day, they're tired. So we're working our people really, really hard, and they're getting tired. We try to contract out. That's something we've tried in the last 2 years. We got one bidder in Fairbanks last year, thankfully. We were able to bring a contractor on. This year we got 3 bidders for that, but we put a contract out for Salcha area, out in Birch Lake. We got a camp in Birch Lake, 50 miles south of here. Wanted somebody to do the side roads because we only got one operator down there. So 66% vacancy rate. There should be 3 people there. We got 1. So we tried to contract that out. No bidders. So we're stuck trying to backfill from Fairbanks. So a lot of challenges. And of course, more and more challenging events. We don't have the weather that's as easy on it. It used to get cold here, right? It just get cold, and we'd have several weeks where nothing would happen. It'd get quiet. We get caught up. Not anymore. We seem to have the Christmas storms of 21, Murbach of 22 out in Western, Rich Highway flooding. I mean, there's a lot of challenges that we face. Jackson put up this map here earlier, road priority assessment. We take a look at our road system, and based on our snow plan, published snow plan, we make a decision of what priority 1, 2, 3, 4 roads are. There is nothing put into that equation except, hey, it fits this category. Now, if we have a hospital or something on the road, yep, it gets bumped up. But a lot of this is driven by how many cars are on, or vehicles are on a route in a day. So the higher the ADT, the quicker we wanna get to those. So we're trying to impact the most people in the area as quick as we can. So if it's 30,000 cars a day, we're gonna try to get that quicker than the 300 car a day road that might get there 3 or 4 days later. But of course, you know, we wanna improve on this, we're constantly trying to do better. So we're looking for efficiencies. We add things to our fleet. With the fewer people that we have, we add things to our fleet to get more done with less. So we've added snow wings onto the trucks. We've got expandable plows, we've got tow plows. Our ice breakers, trying to get rid of the ice. There's so many different tools that we're trying to use to improve on our efficiencies, but there's only so much that efficiency can do. There's nothing that's gonna take away from the actual hours on the road, putting in there and getting that work done. We get creative. We call this budget cut 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we took pickup plows. Normally, all of our equipment, we need a CDL to operate. So we take these pickup plows that you don't need a CDL to operate. And when we get a storm, we grab people from construction or people from design that wanna come help us out and plow. They'll go out and plow some of these lower priority roads. Now, they can't provide that same level of service as the big equipment can, but at least they can get the roads opened up. So that's another way we're trying to reinvent ourselves and try to make it more palatable for the public, for lack of a better term. We also have to be proactive. We've got a grant from the federal government to build us an actual maintenance decision support system. So we did that with the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder. And they built us, this is a predictive model that tells us what the weather is gonna do basically for the next 3 days. And it's not just atmospheric, it's actually road weather. So they're giving us pavement temperature forecasts. This is available to the public. Anybody wants to look at it, you can look at it. But it was paid for by a grant from Federal Highway Administration. So as we see a storm coming in, we're gonna get an idea of how much snow there's gonna be at each of these locations. And we can know where to put our resources and to best optimize what we're trying to do in our snow response. We pilot technologies. You know, we got finger plows out there that are trying to get down the grooves of the road. We got sensors on that move around on our pieces of equipment that can tell us what's actually the friction of that road as it goes by. So you plow the road, what's the friction behind you? The next iteration of that is that the sensor company is actually making it so that that spreader unit behind it is getting a reading from that friction sensor and is putting out how much material needs to be put out behind it based on the friction that they're getting or something. It's not here yet, but that's the next stop. And we do use chemicals when we have to. That's obviously a controversial subject with a lot of folks, but we're not back to the old days where it just gets cold and stays cold, plows light, fluffy snow. We get rain, snow, wet, heavy snow anymore that we didn't have before. So we're trying to use all the tools that we have at our disposal. We are proud of this, our chart that we get. This is a chart of the Fairbanks North Star Borough winter crashes. So as you can see, from the time we've started keeping these records for the borough, we are reducing our crashes significantly. So if we can get down to, I would hope to be seeing 0 fatalities on there, I'd love that. But we've dropped fatalities, we've dropped large accidents, we have dropped small accidents, property damage only. We're continuing to work at dropping our accident rates on our highway system. So it's a nice thing to look at, but there's still people's lives involved as you look at all this. So it's not just a chart. Somebody's lives was messed up. You get in a crash, that's a bad day. So we keep trying to reduce that. We tell our stories the best we can. You look at this presentation today, we have our very talented Caitlin back there that put this together for me, or you guys have looked at some ugly bullet points. So she put this together for me. She does great with our public information. Get a lot of messages from her saying, hey, tell us about this. And you put it out, it's like, well, that's not what I said, but cool. Very neat. So anyway, we've got some creative people that manage our public messaging for us. So we try to be as transparent as we can, tell you what we can, when we can, as quick as we can. So thank you for that, Caitlin. We try to be as efficient as we can with our equipment. Again, we can't do everything, but we try to make everything piece of equipment a Swiss Army knife. You look at this picture here, those 3 trucks can pick up any of those attachments. So used to be we'd have single trucks for that, for every one of those activities, whether it was a water truck, or a boiler truck, or a flatbed, or, you know, like any of these different attachments. So those 3 trucks, we worked with our equipment fleet, they're all plumbed the same. Used to be that we'd have to send something to the shop to take a sander off of, and it'd be a week and it'd come back. Well, now we have sliding sanders that all of our equipment has a spreader unit in it, where we used to only have 3 or 4 in the fleet, that was one person's job every day. Now we can all run a spreader unit, we can all go do all these different things, and one operator can change any of these implements in about 10 minutes. So we try to do better. And the sidewalk tractor out there, that tractor, I don't know if that's the one fast spot for us, but there's one like it out there. So that sidewalk tractor out front is actually this picture here. So this was a grant from FAST to help us try to respond quicker to the sidewalk and path priorities. Of course, challenges we face, the Bear Creek flooding down the ridge, that was a big kick in the gut for us. The flooding up on the Dalton Highway, Murbach out in the west. You know, just something as simple as opening our roads up, that picture way over on your right, that's opening up the Taylor Highway in the spring. I got to climb up there and get a picture of that loader working down in there, it's basically a tunnel. And those guys work hard to open that road up, but that takes weeks for us to go do that every year. So a lot of challenges that we face. Of course, accidents, we have those, we're seeing those drop. But we average in our Fairbanks area, it's normally 15 to 20 strikes where our equipment is struck every winter. So if I can ask anything, if you're out driving and you see us working, give us a lot of room. There's people in that piece of machinery, even though it might be 30 tons, that person wants to go home to their families too. And we don't want to have to pry somebody out of the car. So it's a real challenge for us. So with that, we do win awards once in a while. This is again another public information award. So thank you, Caitlin, for everything you do. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Yes, ma'am.
With your sidewalk clearing equipment, are you guys participating in bus stops, clearing areas like that?
So we have, I can repeat that, right?
Yes, that would be great. I'm
So-
gonna grab this too.
The question was, are we participating in clearing bus stops with their sidewalk equipment? Yes, if they're on our facility. Now, I don't know if we're gonna have a presentation from Max tonight, but they have a program, I believe we talked about last year, where they actually clear around the bus stops too. They have dedicated people, so I think we'll talk about that. Yes, when we're there and they're on our facility, we clear around the bus stops, we clear the bus pull out, we clear in the bus, front of the bus, that's as best we can.
There seemed to be, last year at least, there seemed to be some confusion as to borough, city, and DOT participating in the bus stop situations, especially with that heavy snow.
Okay,
And so successfully, there is a new job description from the borough to maintain and make accessibility, more accessibility to the bus stops. But it's still confusing as to who's here, and who's here doing what. That's just why I'm asking the question.
sure, and I think part of that, we could look at the fast planning map that will tell you who takes care of what road. That should kind of give you an idea of who you need to call if you have an issue there, and if there's anything specific that you're concerned about, a specific location, see me when we're done, and I'll make a note of that, and we can make sure we take a look at that.
Last year I did talk to him.
Well, I'm getting old and forgetful, so I don't remember.
They may have gotten tired of me, so I
Okay,
give it a rest.
Never.
Thank you for your presentation. We had an opportunity this last couple of years to put in expanded roads downtown. And in their infinite wisdom, they decided to leave the telephone poles in the middle of the sidewalk. The reticulator, of course, doing the sidewalks in the wintertime cannot do through a telephone pole. And so it goes around, thus causing some extra difficulty. Is there any way to get rid of the situated phone power poles that are now located in the middle of the sidewalks?
so Jeff might be able to answer that better than I can, but I can tell you, we always, when we're reviewing plan sets for design, we try to get everything out of our way that we can, including our own signs and guardrail and everything. We try to get it out of the way as best we can, but I know that there is some areas where specific power lines cannot be moved, like on University Avenue. We couldn't move those power lines because of the amount of power that it carries. They couldn't move them for us. So we struggled with that.
How you guys doing with mechanics?
Same thing.
How's it
We're 30 to 40% down.
And how's it affecting your, repair maintenance equipment?
We got a stack of broke equipment sitting over at the shop right now. It's the same problem as we have with our operators. They can't fix things any faster than they can. I mean, without the resources, folks, it's hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it a bit. We gotta figure out a way to fix the problem.
So we're gonna take one more question here, then we're gonna move on to our next speaker. So
Okay.
everybody can get some extra time, but go ahead.
I'm just curious to know if there might be an opportunity for a partnership with either the community and technical college. Folks coming out of some of those certification programs, associate's degree programs, to kind of plug them in, as interns possibly, like as a way to just get bodies in the room and some job experience.
We have gone to a lot of job fairs, partnering with our unions, trying to get people to come on board. The problem is we're competing with people who can pay a lot more money. So that is really our issue right now, is the pay discrepancy for our people. Sorry. But if you got anybody that wants to give it a try, we would love them, send them over. All right.
Thank you, Dan. So next up, we have Jeff Jacobson and Jeremiah Cotter with City Fairbanks Public Works Department.
Thank you, Fast Bonnie, Jackson, Fox, and Olivia. This has been a great addition to our community to have this annual winter forum. And I also appreciate my partners in crime tonight who are sharing what they do for winter snow maintenance. Every year I learn something new about what they're doing and try to copy some of that. I have to admit, though, that I am tech envy with DOT's ability to do all of that they do with the technology that we don't have that capability in the city. I've been the Public Works Director since 2016. That's 7 years, and I can tell you that in those 7 years, so those 7 winters, no two have been the same. Everyone has had its own unique set of challenges and circumstances that we've had to address one way or the other, whether it was equipment failure, lack of staffing, budget constraints, early snow, late snow, nonstop wind, where you could go out and do all the plowing and clearing, and then overnight go back and the wind would have blown everything back, but that you just removed. Those are some of the things that we deal with. And so, of course, weather is very unpredictable. And when you think about this October, winter season, according to the weather.gov, as of 1 o'clock on Monday, the 13th, and 1 o'clock a.m., it said it had about 16 inches of snow, 16.7 inches of snow from September 1, and now through this week, probably close to 20 inches of snow. That's not what you see out there. It certainly has shrunk, melted away due to the very unusual weather conditions that we're having. So just as Dan with DOT said, we're constantly adjusting to a changing scenario. No sooner does Jeremiah have something figured out than something else hits us. I just want to introduce really the most important person in public works when it comes to snow maintenance, and that's Jeremiah Cotter. He's been the winter, or I should say the street maintenance foreman operator for the last 3 years. He's worked with the city or with Public Works for 16 years. He's the one that makes magic happen. He's the Jedi Master and I'm just his wingman. But he is brings a wealth of experience and doesn't hesitate to get out in the field and help the crew as needed. He was out there this week already because we are short folks. As Dan has expressed with DOT that there's a lot of competition for qualified staff that has the skill set. And we have 10 full-time operators in the at Public Works, but we rely on hiring up to 35 temporary operators each winter season. And as Jeremiah will attest, we're having a significant failure rate of people available, willing to come back to work for us. That is daunting. And so thank goodness with El Nino, we're gonna most likely have a lighter snowfall winter, but that doesn't fix the long-term problem that we're all facing, which is lack of qualified staff to operate the equipment, lack of qualified staff to repair the equipment. So again, I'll turn the time over to Jeremiah. He's gonna go ahead and explain our program. I'm gonna have to slip out a little bit early tonight because I have a board meeting out in North Pole I need to attend to. So back to the question that was asked earlier, we do have partnerships in the community. So we do have apprentice programs with all the unions where we can bring on staff. In fact, we've hired quite a few apprentices that come in through the program, and that has really helped us. And I'll turn the time over now to Jeremiah.
That is one thing that makes my job much easier is having Jeff as a support. It's really crucial getting key support. Do I push the arrow?
Down.
Down.
5 minutes.
Okay, so we can speed this up. Sweet. So, as you guys know, we go through the neighborhoods and we pick up snow. We used to always plow up berms, like you see, it would be a little bit more to the side, but we always used to plow up berms. Since I've taken over as the foreman, I've kind of tried to answer everybody's call for get rid of the berms. So we try to go into the neighborhoods and we just try to keep them smooth throughout the winter till we can get around and with our equipment and rip up the hard pack and then haul it away. That way there's no berm sitting there where, you know, most likely you're wanting to park. That's why people don't like the berms for the most part. And then also to try to answer the request for, you know, more and more sidewalk maintenance, we're now utilizing our laborers on what they call a snow raider. They kind of stand on the back of it and they're able to plow the sidewalks with that. And that also helps get around that power pole somebody was talking about in the middle of the sidewalk. Yeah, we love that thing. So with these little guys here, where they're able to kind of get around behind some of that stuff so that we can get that snow off, so that somebody doesn't have to climb over a little snow hill in the middle of the sidewalk. So that was and we have another one on the way that we're getting with a grant, I think with DOT. We have another one of those snow raiders coming, so we'll have even more access to some more sidewalk stuff. We've had to move to kind of utilizing laborers instead of operators, mostly because we don't have the operators. So we're kind of, you know, composite crewing it and utilizing laborers where we can use laborers and operators at the same time so that we can put more of an effort towards sidewalks. That's pretty much what that says right there. Once again, like Jeff said, 16 years with the city, every winter's different. The biggest challenge is who you're gonna get this year. What's your staffing gonna be like? That's really the biggest challenge. Cause you can have, and you know, the mayors, the current mayor and past mayors have bought us all nice equipment for public works. We can have all the nice equipment in the world if we ain't got nobody to put in the seat, it really doesn't matter. So, you know, that's our biggest challenge, and especially this year, it's worse than it's ever been. Got a little slide of the snowfall, what we've moved in yards and how many truckloads. And then that's all possible by like what Jeff says, when we can get the temps. And one thing that we have tried to, well, we have two of them now. We have a side dump and a tractor. I think that's coming up. So we have two tractors and a side dump. And then I've been given in this year's budget another tractor and another side dump. Utilizing the side dumps is like having 3 dump trucks going. So instead of having 3 people, we can now do it with 1 person and have 3 loads. The only drawback to that is some of our neighborhoods, we can't turn those in. So it kind of slows us down when we hit the smaller, tighter neighborhoods, but when we get in the bigger neighborhoods, we can really up our production and move some snow. There's one of the side dumps right there. They came with boards on the sides so that we can actually haul a lot more snow. I think if I remember right off the top of my head, 66 tons of snow we can haul in that thing. So it's can haul quite a bit. And then in the snow dumps, because the last year when we had the apocalypse, of course, we were running out of space. But we've always wondered, well, what if we just blew the snow up there? Because it can stack it a heck of a lot higher than us just pushing it up there. So that's one of the other things we do in the snow dumps to conserve space is just blow the snow up on top. We use our older snow blowers, of course, for that. Still find things in those. You're like, how did that fit through the other blower? That must, okay, so, we also have another, new loader coming. And with that loader, last year we purchased an icebreaker because, Dan wanted to loan me his. He said he needed it. We had to get our own. I was surprised we didn't have one. It is a little bit of a challenge and it takes a little bit getting used to the blowers loading the side dumps, but we're getting pretty proficient at that and we're moving along quite a bit. And I think I'm kind of at the point of questions, if anybody's got any questions.
Perfect. I got a microphone here. Come around. The rest is all the same stuff that they said.
Okay, I'm a firm pedestrian bicycle man. And now it's 2 days after 4 inches of snow. And I live on 8th Avenue, west of Kellam. And it's a major chore, even with a fat tire bike, getting up to where the sidewalks are cleared. And so our streets, our residential streets without sidewalks, need to have some thought and as to how people can get around. And I realize that's maybe not your department, it's maybe the city council needs to get in on this. But we need to get some way for people to navigate up to the plowed sidewalks. Thank you.
Not really sure how to answer that one right there. We try our best to gate the berms where we know people are gonna be coming out to get onto the sidewalk. I know you called quite a bit to ask us to
I'm
come
just
down
talking
and do
about
that.
residential streets,
Oh,
no
on the streets.
sidewalks, and they're just tough to navigate, whether walking or bicycle.
Neighborhood subdivisions, no sidewalk.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, next question.
In case the city gets like 7 feet of snow, freak storm, what's the action plan?
Pray. I'll be at home digging myself out. Just like anything else, our contract that we have with the city, through the 302 union, there's no forced overtime. So the only thing I can do when we have a snow situation, even just this last one, is I can call everybody and say, hey, I'm gonna be here working to try to clear the streets, who's gonna help me? And so that's what we end up attacking it with. Most of the time, I don't get my whole crew, I get maybe 2/3, and we all jump in graders and we start opening things up. Everything that we do starts with our plowing, and we plow all of the main thoroughfares through town. We, pretty much any one of them that you travel through town is priority one. That's what we do first. And then, after we get everything plowed, then we try to go into the neighborhoods and we start trying to smooth up the neighborhoods currently to try to keep from burning them up. And then we get on the sidewalks after we get the, neighborhoods smoothed up. And that's if we have people that we can put in the machines to clear the sidewalks. Cause picking up snow in the neighborhoods, in my opinion, is more important than opening up a section of sidewalk.
All right, we'll take one final question here, and then, we'll move on to the next speakers. Go ahead.
I'm a mechanical engineer, used to work for DOT in construction and right away. And it seems like there isn't nearly enough thought process involved in making sure that there's pedestrian thoroughfares being handled by snow removal crews. Because there's so many people that, well, they can't afford petroleum or gasoline to manage their cars, and they're getting around on foot. And also for ADA compliance, it has to be made cleared and accessible for wheelchairs. That's federal law. And I've been working with Access Alaska for quite a while now, 20 years plus. And I created a group called Wall Busters. That's about breaking down barriers for persons with disabilities. And we enacted in getting the modifications made at our fairgrounds and at some parks around town as well. And so many more need to be worked on in the future. And hopefully that's going to happen. But also maintenance needs to happen in all these places as well. Half the time you come to these bus stops and you're waiting for the bus to come, and there's berms of ice blockading the entryways. There's steel trash cans in the spot where the wheelchair is supposed to park, which is not very funny. And it seems like maybe the people that are managing it aren't paying attention to those facts of the matter, that they don't quite realize are facts. And I'm kind of wondering if the state organizations are actually paying any attention to that or not.
Well, we try to do the best that we can with the people that we have on staff. We have laborers, when they're not doing their garbage on Thursday, they're down addressing the handicap ramps and stuff downtown in the core. And in other areas, as they get the cores all squared away and those handicap ramps swept off and cleaned up where the rumble strips are, visible, then of course they start spreading out from the core, hitting all of those ramps so that people can get on and off the sidewalks, and so that, it is a safe for pedestrians. Short staffed, we do everything we can.
But we have been
I work-
stepping up our sidewalk maintenance, over the years, so, again, we understand the need, and we are trying to address it and be creative about how we get that done. It's not a perfect solution, but, feel free to contact us if there's specific areas that you think need to be addressed, either with better maintenance or a project to accommodate ADA, needs. We'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I was inactive in speaking to the borough about having waiting areas built around town, those glass structures with a couple seats inside. And that was good that we managed to accomplish that, my mother and I. And the main drawback to that is that the area is actually designed and set up for a wheelchair to park in. People have been putting steel trash cans. I'm like, dude, that's a parking spot for a wheelchair, man. That's kind of, impromptu. But I'm not gonna go running away from my arms screaming and say, hey, this is not how you do that, it's for this. And it's hard to kind of try and act or find the right person to speak to say, hey, this is how this is done. That's what that's for, make it happen. And I'm deep friends with many of our state representatives, even state senators, one of my best friends, several council members as well, know a couple mayors, hold all wax. And even when you bend their ear about these kinds of things, they can only do so much as well. And it's almost like you have to wiggle, not just one ear, but 40. Just try and really enforce making something effective happen. So being on a stage is a great thing to do, and speak with a large vast amount of people might make some difference. Whether or not it actually does, I don't know. I'm hoping that it will. I'm hoping that you guys, as the professionals that are in charge of this, will actually enact these kind of changes that need to be made. I have my fingers crossed.
I got two comments about that. I completely agree with you. I ride a fat bike in the winter time and I go to shop and I just see more bicycle maintenance. But two things. First, in the last 3 years, I see more bicycle paths cleared sooner than I had in the past. The second thing is, the big elephant is there's not enough money. And that's the big elephant, because how can you get all these stupid things paid for and hire people with the right amount of salaries and so forth and wages? You don't have the money. And the first guy up there talked about how the budget is not very good, it's flat, and inflation type things down. So I think that's the big thing, is not enough money.
Well, the value of the dollar is a big important part of this.
Yeah, I like to see what you said.
All right, those are excellent comments, and I appreciate both of you bringing up those topics here. So we've got the right people in the room to relay these comments to. So, Jeremiah, thank you for the presentation. Bear, with the UAF, he's up next.
One slide.
One slide over.
Great,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out to the forum. It's been a little depressing, so I'm gonna give out bear hugs after this, if anybody wants one, you can get them free. Let's see, you're gonna get a paper. I will say that listening to the people before me, and I'm pretty sure the folks that are gonna be after me, we're all fighting the same things. We're all trying to get people to do work. We're all trying to get money to help us get people to do work. And sometimes it's a double-edged sword because we spend a lot of time training. When we do or are fortunate enough to get somebody new, we have to reinvent the wheel and train that person for several weeks to get them ready to go. And then a lot of times it's heartbreak when somebody else will offer them another job after we've got them trained and they leave. So there's a couple of things that we have to fight with all the time, not just not getting people. Sometimes we get them and that hurts just as much. So we're gonna hear tonight, you heard from some people that do snow removal, you're gonna hear from some people that do recreation, and you're gonna hear from some people that provide transportation. My little department up at the university, we are lucky enough that we get to do all that. We have a very close group of people. Is that other slide up there?
Yeah, you just click them. I do.
Okay, there we go. So I've been up there 28 years in this position and getting close to time to retire. So we brought on a new ground supervisor this summer and she thinks I was gonna embarrass her tonight. So I thought I'd do a little bit of that. Her name is Amber McCurgan back there and she is gonna be the new UAF ground supervisor. Okay, she'll be up there next year. Okay. So operations, for us, we take care of the roads on campus, we take care of all the walkways, all the parking lots, all the stairs. Our little team of, we pull out of the high schools now, a lot of Lathrop and West Valley and Hutchinson students work for us. We have 7,200 sets of actual stairs on campus that we shovel every single day. We take care of the recreation on campus. We have 22 miles of ski trails that we groom daily. We have walking trails, we have dog walking trails, we have a 1/4 mile, we call it the practice ring, but it's across the street from the SRC and it's just for families to bring their kids and show them how to cross country ski. It's used very heavily. It's one of our neatest things on campus. We have an outdoor skating rink now that we flood every year and we zam and we keep it cleaned off and we have lights around it. We have a shuttle bus system that's pretty robust. We provide people rides on campus. We provide van service from campus to CTC
from 7 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, 5 nights a week. We provide the campus service from 7:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock every night. We have what we call shopping shuttles, where we allow the student community of campus to get on a bus on Tuesday nights, and we take them to West Fred Meyer's. And we do the same thing on Thursday nights, but we take them to Walmart. And we have a First Friday bus, and lately, our shuttles have been growing for charters for university affiliated trips and field trips across all of interior Alaska. We're shuttling all the sports teams to and from the airport now. It's really gotten busy for us. We still have the same hurdles as far as financing and people. But this little group of people up here, which a lot of them are gone now, this is taken a couple years ago, but they all pull together, and Amber and I have to feed them sometimes, and cook meals for them, we watch the kids sometimes for them. We have to do what we can to help that little group stick together and be close, so that when that big snowstorm someone was talking about, when that happens, honestly, we have people that sleep in our building. They go do all they can, and then they come back and get some sleep in the building, and then they go right back at it. So we're very fortunate just to have that nucleus of people that really want to make UAF safe and useful for everybody. Our priority is walkways and ADA access on campus. Our campus is a pedestrian area. We have, 5,000 students up there every day walking around campus, employees walking around campus. And for us, Amber and I, our biggest priority is pedestrians. And our walkways are kept. We have a night crew and a day crew. We have somebody on nights cleaning the walkways. We have 2 people on day crew cleaning the walkways, along with cleaning all the streets and parking lots. Yeah, it's just a great place to work, and we have lots of jobs open also.
What's your maintenance and job posting for?
Yes, that's what it is, yes. I don't know what to say other than we love what we do. We love all of you. We want you to come to UAF and visit and go to the museum and enjoy the outdoors we have up at UAF. We want you to bring your friends and family. We want you to go to school there. We want your kids and grandkids and friends' kids to go to school there. 4747,000. If you need anything, you just call that, ask for Bear, and they'll get you right to me. Sometimes that's way too much phone calls, but yeah, it's a little town, and we're inside, it's a college town, Fairbanks itself, and then our little town is even smaller and it's even closer. Yeah, that's about it. I don't really have a lot more to say much than that, but any questions I'd be willing to ask.
Yes, please. We've got folks listening online, so.
So I'm a person that works on the UAF campus, so I do benefit from the great job that you do, and I just wanted to start out and say thank you with that.
Sure.
My question is, with the growing numbers of high school students and people that don't drive on the UAF campus, I know it's a really big focus to have the North Star Middle College grow. How concerned are you that there's no longer a nice pedestrian bridge or safe access to get from transit on Geist up to the UAF campus, or from Hutch or West Valley or Effie Cochran?
So we're seeing a change in that already. Just this year, we started a program providing shuttles for Effie Cochran to bring the students up to campus. They have week-long events. They bring students in from rural Alaska and they put them up in Sophie's. And then, so we go and get them from Sophie's, we take them to Effie, and then we also bring them from Effie up on campus and back. And a lot of that never happened before with that footbridge. So, yeah, I am concerned, and hopefully we'll be able to meet that challenge moving forward and help everybody. We have limited buses and limited bus drivers, so we're always constantly, it's like a chessboard every morning, who's gonna do what, but we are seeing that, and we're helping as much as we can to alleviate it, or
Is there any effort from UAF to work to get that bridge put back?
not that I know of, to tell you the truth, no. I think it's a DOT thing. I think it was a safety thing. Maybe a new bridge, some sort of new design that was better, but I haven't heard anything myself.
Hi, Mayor. I also work up at the university and I'm an academic advisor working with first generation college students, low income students. And I just wanted to commend you guys for the creativity that you've done with giving the, trying to give like room, paying for the students' room on campus. So the creativity that you guys have put into, the job postings and trying to, if you can't pay them more, provide some sort of other incentive. I just wanted to say that that goes a long way with our students, and we as advisors are often directing students to those types of jobs like residence life, like facility services that provide those extra benefits. So whoever thought of that, thank you, and keep doing more of that, because that is something that goes a long way with our student population.
All right, thank you.
Hello there.
Hi.
It's good to see you again.
You too.
And I have to say, you are doing an excellent job up there.
Thanks.
I do like the creativity that you guys have taken and helping others. And you've always been that way for the 28 years that I've known you.
Thank
So
you.
I'm glad to see what you've done up there at the
Thank you very much. But I'm gone at 30, just so you know. That's it. It's all Amber's for 2 years.
Right, time for one more question or comment, anyone? The last one.
You guys use ice, thickness or temperature to define when Smith Lake is groomed or stopped being groomed?
So we have an outstanding trails person. His name is Jason Guerin. And every year he goes out there on Smith Lake and he does drill to find out, but he'll be out there on our Sherpa and he'll look behind him and he'll see water from the overflow. And I'm always telling him, don't do that. Just go around, they can ski around the edge of the lake. Don't go across the lake. But he is fantastic and he loves what he does and super dedicated. You know, he 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, it's snowing. He's out there on the trails and
So how thick does the ice have to be to either groom it or not groom it?
I think he's shooting for 3.5, 4 inches. Yeah, he's risked it before and not yelled at him. Have I ever yelled at anyone? Maybe once, okay. Well, it's probably my son when he worked up there. I yelled at him. But, yeah, I would rather be safe than sorry with him. That machine's super heavy. And, to me, on that, sometimes he takes too many chances. We have had to pull it out once. And that was interesting, but only once. It's only been stuck on us one time. It's a really neat machine. Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor. All right, up next, we have Danny Wallace, the City of North Pole.
That's what's happening with the board, so,
I'm getting a safety brief.
yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, hey, welcome everyone, and thank you for coming. My name is Danny Wallace. I am the Director of City Services, and to my left is Cody Lodgy. He is the Public Works Supervisor. So right here, you're looking at 25% of our workforce for Public Works.
Wow.
So we are smaller, certainly than the City of Fairbanks, certainly than DOT. Our problems, we face the same problems, but we do have a adequately staffed and funded operation, so we are able to approach those a little bit differently than some of our peers in the interior. Here's some facts about the City of North Pole. You'll look on there, about 18 miles of roads and also 12 miles of pedestrian paths. I'll tell you that we do put a priority on our pedestrian paths. Snow event on Monday was a very good example. Our paths were cleared early. We were able to get our contract folks that do plow our roads out there the next morning. We often, just like, again, DOT in the City of Fairbanks, immediately when snow stops, you'll start getting calls of where are the plows. And we try to integrate our efforts with DOT and also look at traffic, other things in the area. We don't like to plow during rush hour, sometimes we have to, but we do take those things into consideration. On the right side of the screen, you see the roads that we take care of. And on the left side of the screen, you'll see some of our priorities and what we focus on. And certainly, just like everyone else, snow plowing is all about safety. It is safety for the pedestrians, it's safety for the people who drive on the roads. We want people to get to where they need to go. efficiently and safely. Here you'll see the city of North Pole. Those of you, if you go into Google Maps and you type in city of North Pole, this will pop up where it's got a red line around the outside. It's about 4.2 square miles. Again, not as big, certainly, and our problems tend to be different than our other peers in the area. But it does take us up to 20 hours to plow all of our roads. Sometimes it's quicker, sometimes between, 8 to 12 hours, sometimes. With most recent plowing was how long? 12 hours. About 12 hours to get all of our roads in the city of North Pole. Again, we don't deal with the myriad of roads that some of our peers do. Each plowing costs about $10,000, which may seem like a lot of money, it may seem like a little bit of money, but that is about a 30% reduction than the previous year. So we were able to negotiate and to get a little more efficient in how much plowing costs for the city. And we'll do about 10 to 12 plowings per year, the whole city. So DOT helps us out in the city of North Pole. It is a partnership, and when snow falls and when we are starting to plow, I'll call some of the folks that work for DOT, and then we'll contact them. We'll try to integrate our efforts. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, because there are different priorities. But DOT helps with a couple of main roads, and you'll see them here: St. Nicholas Drive and Richardson Highway. Some of the other ones on here, and Santa Claus Lane, yes, Santa Claus Lane, which is the main road that goes through the city of North Pole, through the roundabouts. So there's some frequently asked questions that we get for the city, and I'm not going to read all of this, but there are some things that when we talk to folks about snow plowing, they ask about parking their cars in the street. We ask folks not to park their cars in the street because they could cause damage to the plows. There could be things in the right of ways along the roads. If a plow gets damaged, what that does is that decreases our ability to plow other folks' areas. So actually, it's not just the plow that gets damaged, it's our capabilities that get damaged when things are in the wrong places. Sometimes cars do get hit, and we work with individuals on how to remedy that, but we really do encourage folks not to have things in the right of way, not to park on the roads when we're plowing. Easements, certainly, and everyone in the borough, there are easements in certain areas. We've got areas where, again, we've got the trailers and easements, we've got things parked along the side of the road, we've got stakes and easements, and we really do discourage, we work with individuals, we'll talk to them about things in the area that may interfere with operations. Some folks will ask about, hey, I've got a second driveway where I've got something parked, and we do have a problem with that just because we only, for each of the homes, will plow the primary driveway. We really don't focus on that second one just because it costs us more money and it delays the plow's ability to get to other places that may need plowing, that may need to be get taken care of for plowing. So again, if folks do have a second driveway, I have one for my truck. I have a second driveway in front of my house where I park my truck away from everything else. That generally won't get plowed. But again, there are things that sometimes, if we do have problems with our plowing, if we do block access to critical roads, or if folks can't see when they're coming out of their driveways, they'll call the public works, they'll call me, and we can remedy that. We have the ability to go out, and if for some reason a box of post office boxes have gotten covered up by snow operations within the city of North Pole, we have the ability to call folks out and get them on site and to clear those up. Earlier here, there were some questions about bus stops. The folks in the city of North Pole, the folks that are clearing the bus stops are our public works folks. So those are generally, we have the ability to keep the bus stop shelters, the bus stops themselves fairly clear. And again, if there are any questions about there, or if things, again, are covered up that should be covered up, you can just give us a call. A couple other questions. Folks like to push snow out of their driveways into the roadways. Again, it tends to interfere with operations. Sometimes if you're shoveling things out to the road, it's not as big of a deal, but we will see people that will take and plow with a lot of snow out in the middle of the roadway. It makes it difficult for our plows. And it really, like I said, we really want to get to the folks that really need things to be cleared. Alleys behind houses, there are certain roads, they talked about orphan roads. There are certain areas within North Pole where we've got alleys. Again, those just aren't going to get plowed. Again, if someone needs access to a particular area, if they do call us, we can usually work something out. when we talk about orphan roads and things, one of the calls that I always get every year is, why haven't you plowed my road? And I'll ask, the first question that we'll always ask people is, what's your address? If you're within the city of North Pole, we certainly can take care of you. If you're outside the city, it is a road service area. Fortunately, we have the ability to go to the maps and look at who their contact is, who their commissioner is, or if we need to refer them to DOT. We've gotten pretty good at that. Like I said, we really do try to get you to the right person who can answer those questions, but we do get that question all the time. And the last question on here, what's the city doing to mitigate yearly flooding? There were some discussions about the 2021 storm that occurred, that there was flooding everywhere. City of North Pole had to spend about $500,000 to haul snow out of the city limits in order to keep people's homes from flooding. Last summer, we conducted a study of drainage within the area. This year, and actually even last summer, we made some changes to how the water flows in the area, and next summer, we're gonna make some more. So we're aware of flooding every year within North Pole. Certainly, all of you that have been there, it's a very flat area. We've got certain areas that are very susceptible to flooding. So, given that, here's our contact information. Mine is first, Public Works Supervisor second, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have right now.
In regards to, say, maybe utilizing Public Works, and whatnot, in areas where, say, if they have flooding problems, do they have excavation that can be done to remedy those problems?
Okay, I'll let you answer.
We've been trying to get out there, early in spring, real early, and dig with the excavator, ends of the culverts, get them thawed, call a steam truck in, make sure everything's starting to open up and flow. So, and we, a couple years ago, we did purchase 2 lots, and we got a big lagoon, try and help. So.
Part of the study that we had done last summer provided some guidance on catch basins, where things should go as far as how to get the water out of those areas. So, doing culvert work, some of the other things, some preventative stuff. We actually did some this fall. And just again, trying to get ahead of these drainage issues, we've been trying to do so. And hauling snow when necessary. There are going to be some times that certain streets we're going to have to haul snow on, and we will continue to do that.
All right, any other questions?
Okay, thank you. So next up, we have John Haas with Borough Parks and Rec.
Oh, okay, that's okay. That was what was done.
Yes, that is what's coming.
Sorry, and what moves the slides?
Time to work about it.
What moves the slides?
Oh, yeah, they're all.
No, what moves them? Just the button? Okay. Well, geez, I feel kind of outmatched here tonight. We started doing this thing 8 or 10 years ago, and the presentations were more like a half a page on the paper, and the slideshows were a handful of slides, and I still have the same one, and everyone else has improved their game. So anyway, good evening. My name is John Haas. I'm the Parks Superintendent for the borough, and just a few slides of pictures to show what Parks crew does in the winter. Parks and Recreation winter responsibilities are less about making sure you can get to work, school, or the grocery store, and more to do with making sure you get out for skating, walking, skiing, or playing in the snow. We are first and foremost about safe access to your recreational facility. The department is responsible for the entrances to some public facilities, but those are a relatively limited number. Nothing like the UAF has or City of North Pole has. We're a small player when it comes to this. In truth, we do remove snow and ice from roads, parking lots, and sidewalks. We do apply traction, gravel, and snow melt on ice covered asphalt and concrete on 6 miles of park access road, 20 acres of parking lot, and 6 miles of pedestrian paths. Pretty small potatoes, really. But mainly we groom snow and resurface ice for folks to use for recreation, exercise, and fun. This is Tamnell Lakes and ice skating rink that we put in every year. Just kind of normal parking lots and
and sidewalks like everybody else does. Okay, so often staff work on grooming the trails or resurfacing the ice before they get in the plow truck to clear the parking lot. Most of our patrons are more concerned that they can ski, fish, walk their dog, or skate, and far less concerned about how well the parking lot was plowed. So we maintain 1/3 mile of ice skating trail, 5 outdoor skating rinks, and 20 miles of groomed ski trail. So this is out at the North Pole High School. And this is the Big Dipper, the North Pole High School hockey rink. This is just more of our outdoor rinks. We do not have a hard time recruiting staff that drive Zambonis. So we're not looking for people for that. Now, I always thought driving a grader would be fun, but that's just me. The picture here on the left is kind of interesting. That's the boot of my former maintenance manager. And we actually had one year where we got to 6 feet of ice on Tannell Lakes and it was clear. And you could see all the way through it. This was early in that year. And I don't know how it forms like that, why some years it's clear and some years it isn't, but it is amazing when it is. This is our skating loop, which I encourage everybody to come down and try. The first few years we put it in, we tried to do a half mile to a mile, but we get a lot of overflow. So it makes it really difficult to, if one person pushes an ice, pushes a hole in to catch a fish next to this loop, and then we get a snowstorm, which pushes the ice cube down and forces the water back up the hole. It floods a big chunk of the loop. So generally we stick with about 1/3 of a mile, but please come out. It's lots of fun. We tried curling out there the last few years. We put it in for an event we have in the spring. That was a great fun for the kids. We use milk jugs, I think, is mostly what everybody uses as the stones, right? This is what happens when we get overflow. That's Pete. He didn't have such a great day. We gave up on this ice skating loop that year because there was no salvaging it. This is what the snow groomers look like. The one here being dragged is called the Yellowstone. I think that's just the name of the manufacturer. This is out at Chino Lake or Tannell Lakes. We have snow machines and groomers there. Oh, that was the end. I thought.
Yeah, I know.
Did you kill me?
I didn't,
It's okay. I had a few other pictures. We also clear the artificial turf, our football field every spring, which is kind of a unique kind of a job. We do that very carefully because it would defeat the purpose if we ripped the carpet with the loader before the kids got on a few weeks later. So, yeah, we're more of a unique, we like to groom our snow surfaces and ice surfaces, not clear them if we can help it. So anyway, so we can use them. So we have a little bit of a different focus. Anyway, I take any questions anybody might have.
Hey, Jim, I was out at Tannell Lakes last week, bicycling, and, do you groom the trails, where they walk and bicycle? You ever groom, or is it just let people compress it by walking on it?
No, we have so on what's called Goose Island, which is the south side of the lake, the old gravel hauling road, we clear that for walking. It ends up being a couple kilometers. We clear that all the way down to gravel. And then any of the trails are packed for either skiing or snowshoeing or fat biking. We don't really segregate the use on our trails in that way. So they're hardened for anyone's use. The same at Chino Lake. You know, you can use the River Park trails with your fat bike if you want, or the university has some, and Churchill has some very specific uses. You can only be on this with trails. None of our stuff is that way.
Did you switch the diagonal tracker to the side so it doesn't go right down the middle of the track?
It depends on which location. Some locations, we can put the tracker on one side. I'm not sure why this one's in the center right now. People do call it and complain, and it really, I'm not sure why they have it in the center there. It could be that he's making this too wide, so that's actually 12 feet.
Do you skate on skis?
Huh?
Do you skate on skis?
I do not skate on skis.
When you see that go down the middle of the track out of Chino Lakes, it is just murderous.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll pass that along.
I design it that way, but
You are the first person to tell me.
I'm not the first person I know that's talked about it.
Fair enough.
Do you have any other questions in the audience? Okay, not seeing any, we're gonna take the brief intermission here to hand out some of the door prizes. And I think I'm gonna turn this over to Olivia, but I believe we're looking at for the red ticket.
Red ticket, yeah. Red ticket. We started doing this, I think it was the second winter maintenance forum, and so it sort of just became a tradition, and I really like to try and outfit people with high visibility stuff, or stuff that'll just like keep you generally a little bit more safe. So armbands, hopefully everybody got one. All right, so we've got a couple of like merino fleece buffs, and then some high vis hats that will happily go underneath the helmet, as well as some, what are these called, like yak track things, and then some of those light up vests, and I did put extra batteries in each of these boxes. So it takes 3 batteries, but there's 6 batteries in each box. So, all right, go for it. Okay, and we'll do this super quick. All right, so our first, let's see, this lovely gray merino fleece and the light goes to 290845. Awesome, yeah.
Come on up.
Yeah, that's great. Right, and we'll do another set of those. 290820. It's not an online person. Maybe the left. Going once.
Hold on one more time.
290820. Okay, we will move on. Not an online ticket, so let's see, 290826.
All right.
Ew. I don't know if you want to do that, yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, this ticket is 290837. Yay! So I feel like you want something last year, but I'm not gonna. I don't think so. So, high vis.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I'll wear that.
thank you. Yeah, so we'll do the high vis stuff or the hats and we're gonna. Okay, 290839. Woo! Go. I tried to get one of those basket thingies to put the tickets in, but the Elks Lodge wasn't having it this year, so 290822. This person leave, 290822. Oh! All right, well, you got a hat and a light.
Looked like
All right, so we will do these sets of the Cachula micro spikes, and just for whoever gets these, I got a medium and a large, but there are gift receipts in here if you need to go exchange sizes, because I wanted whoever got them to be able to use them. So, 290816. Oh, nice. Do you know if you're a me? Not here, just take one. Okay. All right, and then we've got one more of those. 290849. 849. Someone out there in the overflow. Yay! Thank you. Awesome. And yeah, just if anybody is feeling a little claustrophobic, we're streaming it out in the foyer as well. This forum. Okay, the Tracer 360 vests, these light up, a bunch of different colors, they flash, and all sorts of fun stuff, and I have tried them at like 25 below. They work. 290858. Woo, okay, and the last one, and then we can move on. 290859. Awesome, there you go. Thank you. All right, so everyone hold on to your blue tickets, because that's the fat bike, and all of the tickets submitted for that will be counted, so thank you.
You really like giving the kids, my goodness. Thanks, Olivia.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our next presentation, we got Dave Johnson with Max Transit, to give you a short update.
Oh, this is.
Hi everyone, I've heard some comments about bus shelters and access to bus shelters, so, thanks, Olivia. And so what I do is I'm the transportation manager, last year, we were, I won't give it, but we have a employee that was designated just for snow removal and maintenance of the bus shelters. The confusing part to your comment is that the borough does not have road rights, meaning that that person cannot take a plow on the road or necessarily take a whole sidewalk and clear it. So if you're having issues accessing from the shelter to a connection or getting to the shelter, we ask that you use Olivia's map and see who maintains the road. And if not, you can also contact us and we can partner or, you know, help in that because we have this person designated. What this person does is they make access so that somebody that's having mobility issues or just, you know, because of the berms, be able to get into the shelter and then into the roadway to board one of our vehicles. So in this picture, this was before we had that person. As you can see, there's berms, and if somebody's trying to exit the shelter and get in onto one of our vehicles, it's very difficult. Just walking, let alone if you're using a mobility device or a walker or, so what that person does is from the opening, they will shovel out or plow a section to able to, from the opening to the roadway in order to board our bus. We can't do like a whole sidewalk or down the road or a pull out or anything like that. The other thing that this person would do is in the spring, get all the snow off the roof, so you don't, you know, there's not hazards of something falling on you. And trash removal, cleaning the glass, that sort of thing. Also, he has a presence so that if there's somebody staying in the shelter that may be not riding the bus at that time, there's just more activity of a employee at those shelters for safety issues. So we are very thankful for our friends at DOT and the city of Fairbanks when they are cleaning the road. We are out there currently 5 days a week from 6 in the morning till 9:45 at night. So we're one of the first borough vehicles out on the road so people can get to work and school or whatever they may need. So there are times that it's hard for us to see where the sides of the roads are. So it doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while we do drive off the road and we have our own maintenance crew that has to help and assist. Every once in a while we do have to call one of the big tow trucks to come pull us out. Same with our Vantran. So our Vantran is a door-to-door complimentary service. So when we do have a snow event, the driver will assess your property. And if for some reason they're not able to get to your doorway or get to your home, give us a call and we will, you know, see if there's some type of accommodation in order for us to transport you. Because we don't want to get stuck, especially if we have other people on the vehicle. It's a safety issue in these temperatures. Or if we have to bring another vehicle out and then try to transport people and mobility devices to another vehicle. So that's just some of the things that we run into in our transportation business. The next thing I wanted to go over is last year I talked about fat bikes on the buses. And that hasn't happened, it's still in the plans. We ran into some government logistics, meaning it's just taking longer than we had planned. So I thought that I would at least share the design that we have picked out and that we are planning to procure. Most likely, it's the same brand that we currently have. It will fit on the same pitch that we currently have. But the difference is that it will, I guess I can go this way, it will accommodate a fat bike. We've been asked this for years. And so This is the slide showing how fat, how big the tire will fit and the weight limit. The other models that we looked at has a lower weight limit and a smaller tire size. So we decided to go with this particular brand for two reasons. One, we won't have to switch out our whole hitch system. And so in the summertime, if we're seeing, that we're not carrying a lot of fat bikes, we can also use our existing bike racks. And then with this, we can carry a fat bike and the other style bikes, regular style bikes, or even a small race size bike, all at the same time. They're a lot lighter than the current bike racks that we have. These are made out of aluminum. So right now we're just waiting for the funding to go reallocated from the feds in order to get back to us. It's already been approved by the assembly. We already have a quote, so we're hoping soon.
Will those go on every bus?
Yes, so every transit vehicle, meaning the Gray Line, our most popular buses that carry bikes are Gray Line, which goes around Farmers Loop, and then Green Line from North Pole into town. But if you have your bike, we want you not to have to leave it somewhere, so we do have them on red, blue, the other lines, so that you can bring it with you. One thing I wanted to point out with this person, our maintenance person, we have decided, and it was a compromise, since we weren't able to put a bus stop right at Joyce School for the temporary move for Norwayne, we have agreed to help the city maintain from that Diane bus stop off College Road all the way to the entrance of Joyce School to assist with access for the library while it's temporarily over at the old Joyce School. So we will be maintaining that sidewalk after our other priorities, and I can go through that. After our other priorities this winter. Once the library's construction project is done, next winter, we won't be doing that, but this winter, we will. Just putting that out there. So it's not a shelter, it's just a regular bus stop. That's it?
Yeah.
So, any questions? I guess I'll just start there.
Going back and I'll work my way back up.
I just want to start by saying that is a tremendous effort that you're collaborating to provide access to the library. Great job on that. My other question has to do with the communities that butt up against Fairbanks, which are Eielson and Fort Wainwright. There's a huge population that is not necessarily heard about, but or thought about. But is there any plans to reinstate bus service to those communities? Fort Wainwright already has the infrastructure for it, but there's single soldiers, people who don't drive, people that have never been away from home before, families, kids. What is being done for that at-risk population?
Right, so several years ago, we did have the Gold Line that served Fort Wainwright. It was funded by a grant. Once that grant was over and spent, we usually look at that data and then do public comment to see if it has enough ridership or enough interest to see if the borough wants to fund that part of operations. At that time, and this was pre-COVID, there was not. And at this time, because of, you've heard all night, staffing shortages and operating and maintenance shortages, we are not looking at expanding services. Actually, what we are trying to do, right? People, I don't know who in this room is avid riders. We are still at reduced service. We are not running Saturday. We're not running a midday gray rather. We're just trying to maintain that service now without having to cut, even though we are still down several operators, servicers, maintenance, and customer service reps, the CSRs at the transit center. So that's really our main focus, is just trying to maintain the current service that we have versus going out. Not that it's not needed. We recognize that it's needed, but we're just trying to maintain that operations that we currently have.
Now, my main question is that through the years now, I've been riding the bus for quite some, decades.
Right.
And there have been large subdivisions that have been completely taken off the route schedules entirely. And they're large residential areas that apparently, because of, through what they, data that they managed to calculate in regards to ridership in those areas, that they have now basically completely redone the route system and completely cut those areas out entirely. Like there's a large subdivision residential section, say, that goes down to, Tanana Junior High School. That's a large subdivision. And they changed it after that incident where the bus got stuck on the railroad tracks and just spun on ice. And they completely changed that route system and kind of basically cut out the entire residential area of the transit system. Has that been thought to be maybe even reevaluated in the future?
Yes, currently, Jackson barely touched on our, in his presentation, there are reevaluating the transit plan and the coordinated human plan, so the long-term and short-term plan. And so that should be done at the end of December, early January, and they're reevaluating all of our routes and areas. So we'll get some recommendations from that, because we have a lot of growth, say, in North Pole, and other subdivisions that, and businesses have changed or moved. So, they're looking at our system in that study.
And to keep up with the transit plans update, you can just go to fastplanning.us/transit, or just fastplanning.us, but we're putting all of the open houses and everything on our calendar, but we're definitely the folks to follow for that, because again, we're sort of the liaison between all of these agencies, so you can get all of your information in one place. But we are working on that. We just launched that, with the open house. Yeah, so, yeah, anyways, stay tuned for transit plans update. Please be engaged.
One final question over here before we move on to Anderson School. Are you reevaluating the situation inside the shelters that are manufactured for a space for the wheelchair, where they are putting, they're either taping the big black bags on the wall inside and or the big, like 55-gallon drums?
So, yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is there possibility or sometime in the future, near future, funding to have the Fairbanks North Star Borough garbage containers with the lids on them just outside, like at the Nolan Library? That's a perfect bus stop.
So the one at the Nolan Library is actually maintained and emptied by Parks and Rec. So so let me step back. The 55-gallon drums was this is pre my position, so this is just history, is that was solving a different problem. I think it was trash on the ground, and this is before we had this maintenance person. So they wanted a big container so that when we had somebody only being able to empty that once a week, it wasn't overflowing. And then places that we didn't have a receptacle, they put at least a trash bag. In our last shelter project, we looked for trash cans in order that would attach to the shelter supports on the outside. It wasn't eligible to be bought with that money. Right now, we do not have funding to replace all the receptacles in or at the shelters. There are particular ones based on recommendations from other transit agencies because of fires, because of safety issues that we've looked at, but that is not an active project that we're considering at this time. But I can definitely take it back to the administration and my director. Thank you. Yeah. I did want to say one more thing. I brought some of these blinky lights. These are things that we give out to our riders and our patrons. especially as the winter gets darker, so this time of year. So there's lots of our bus stops that are not illuminated. So if you're a rider, even if you're outside having activity, put this on, you know, if you're not wearing a fancy armband, you can put this onto your coat or your dog or, and it blinks different colors, different, I guess, fast, slow, or solid. There is a, little tab you have to pull out in order to activate. It has an on and off button, but there's some out front, so if you want to grab one on your way out, please do.
So up next, we have Clay Anderson with the school district, and then following him, we're gonna have Dorian Granger to talk about fat bikes and winter biking. I'm gonna ask Clay and Dorian to try to keep your presentations a little bit shorter. We're running out of time here, about 15 minutes left in the presentation. And at the end of these two presentations, we are gonna be giving away that fat bike up there, so we encourage you not to step out early.
Yeah.
You might need something
You gotta
and
be
not
prepped.
get it. So anyways, I apologize, we ran a little bit long in some of these presentations, but hopefully you can work with the time allotment. It's like,
Okay, then I'll just.
Good evening, I'm Clay Anderson with the FNSB School District Facilities Management Department. Usually we just say FNB. The snow removal at the schools is our responsibility, the responsibility of our department.
There you go.
Now, there are over 600 acres of parking lots and driveways in the school district, and these are at 32 school buildings. Presently, the majority of the snow removal tasks are performed by FNB staff. FNB does call upon contractors for some of the workload. For example, the snow at Salter and Two Rivers Elementaries is taken care of by contractors. And the Salter area contractor, they will go ahead and plow the two Allison schools for us upon FNB's request. And we do often request this after about 4 inches of snowfall. That really helps us keep up with the snowfall elsewhere in the district. And during some more extreme snowfall events, we're calling even more contractors to expedite snow clearing in the large parking lots. A good example of a time we did this was the December 2021 Christmas winter storm. Our parking lots were inundated with heavy wet snow and ice. And the contractors we contacted, they really came through for us. They showed up with equipment twice the size of our own in some cases and made short work of the very large parking lot areas. And they finished that in time for school to start after the Christmas break was closed. So we're very appreciative of that outcome. That's just a 5 photos from random snowplows from last winter. And our custodians are equipped with snowplows attached to 4-wheelers and small tractors. And they also have the regular self-propelled walk-behind snow blowers. Their tasks are the handicap parking spaces. They clear that of snow, and they clear snow from the front of the entryway vestibules. And they're plowing all the sidewalks at the schools. And these are the priority 2 task removal areas in the school district. Right now, there are 15 custodial job openings in the school district. So if you know anyone that could help us with snow removal or other tasks, let them know to go to the HR Human Resources webpage and K12northside.org and apply for some of those custodial job openings. That would be great. The custodians are able to do 99% of their snow removal workload with the equipment they do have. So none of it is necessary to be done manually. So, and given about 4 inches of snowfall, the custodians are able to finish their school within a day, usually within a day. Some schools can take a little bit longer, but Hunter takes within a day. Tana Middle School takes half a day max because it doesn't have that many sidewalks. There's very little sidewalks. Like Ryan will take a full day because it really has a lot of sidewalks. FMD does have 5 regular grounds crew, and they're working year round. And their main task in the winter months is the snow removal. Their priority 1 tasks are the bus lanes, the fire lanes, the student drop-off lanes, and then the main access roadways to the schools, or driveways, I call them driveways. But, then the top priority 2 task area that they have is the staff parking areas, and those are very important areas. And following new snowfall, additional FMD maintenance folks will pitch in to utilize our plow trucks to the maximum. These other experienced maintenance folks can include plumbers, electricians, and fire alarms technicians. And we take advantage of that fact because the maintenance folks, their main base of operations is the same as the grounds crew. So it's, of course, it's logistically easy for them to hop in the plow trucks and take off, and they're glad to help out in that manner. So priority 3 areas for snow removal are visitor parking. Priority 3 task snow removal area, or priority 4 task snow removal areas are student parking. During continuously heavy snowfall, grounds will clear the priority 1 areas until all schools do have sufficient access. And the grounds crew, snow removal crew, they do work overtime until they are able to catch up on all those priority 1 areas. And given about 3 to 4 inches of snowfall, the snow crew is able to plow all areas within the district, and that's all priorities 1, 2, 3, and 4. They'll get those all plowed in about a week. It takes them about a week. And that's 3 to 4 inches of snowfall district wide. FMD does operate 4 heavy duty plow trucks, and these are F550s with Monroe gravel spreaders right on the back, and they got Bosby plows up front. And these Bosby plows, they can plow that snow up to 8 or 10 feet high, no problem. It gets it all out of the way, it's no problem at all. And we do have 2 front loaders for snow clearing activities. And that is a Volvo L120G and a John Deere 724K. And these loaders, they're either running the large HLA snow pusher attachments for new snow, newly fallen snow, or when they fall back to catch up on the hardback removal, they are using the regular loader buckets. And we got a couple of Bobcat skid steer loaders, and that is a S550 and a T550. And these little guys, they're great at picking up snow out of smaller parking lot areas. And they can also do hard pack in those same areas. And a lot of times throughout the winter, we got these random snow piles that appear here and there and form here and there. So, and these are really great at taking those and putting them in the main pile. So consolidating the piles, they're really great at that. FMD has rented graders in the past before, and this is during especially high late season snowfall years where that hard pack formation really builds up, and we got to break it up fast before it melts. So our department does have experience with this type of equipment if the need does arise. Anyway, to top it all off, the icing on the cake is we got great mechanics. These mechanics are the best. They keep all of our equipment very finely tuned, and without them, everything would probably come to a grinding halt. I mean, they're great. They're the best. And to finish up, I just have a few notes on winter traffic safety. When you're operating your motor vehicle in school zones and your school bus stops, please obey all rules and regulations regarding those areas. And that means slow down your motor vehicle when you see the flashing red lights, and stop and wait patiently when you see the bus stop sign out with the red lights flashing. And lastly, but just as importantly, I highly recommend that no one down behind working snow removal equipment in your automobiles. It is a much better practice to keep your distance. Experienced equipment operators are very careful and precise, but just give them a wide berth. It's the best safety option. And now if I can answer any of your questions, please.
Yeah, we'll take one question so we can move on, but thank you, Clay.
Yeah, thank you, Clay.
We at the Borough Assembly hear a lot about the snow removal at Lathrop outside of Hammy Pool. And our staff at Parks and Rec are always like, oh, it's, you know, the school district. Is there a current plan? I know you're short day custodians. Is that a priority location in terms of handicap accessibility and pool access?
Yeah, the front drop off lane there at Lathrop, that's a priority one, snow area. That's actually where we had the grader for the one time. But yeah, we do have to catch up on hardback removal. It's constant.
All right, well, thank you, Clay. Big round of applause for Clay. And now invite up Dory Granger, Jamestown Bike and Ski. We're talking about winter biking, and we're going to be wrapping up with that bike.
Can I go road with that and go out here? Sweet.
Yeah.
Easy, even easier. All right, I've got a minute, 30 seconds, so really fast.
You're gonna.
Good thing I'm just good at talking fast, so I'm good at it. Cool, so I'm Dorian Granger. I'm the owner and founder, I suppose, of Bankstown Bike and Ski. We're the newest bike and ski shop for Fairbanks. I don't service your roads, I service your bikes. There was a lot of talk tonight. A few people talked about bike safety and lights and stuff like that, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to encourage everybody to come over to our new shop space if you want to have a long conversation about any of the stuff that I'm going to touch on, because I could talk about it for like an hour, so I'm going to do a really, really brief summary. And our new shop is over at 360 Old Chena Pump Road. I'm still trying to remember that address. It's right across from Lulu's and the Chena Pump Plaza. So big new location, super stoked about it. I haven't slept in like a week. So we're open.
For being here.
Yeah, no worries. So we open the day after tomorrow. So that's super exciting. We got all kinds of everything fat bike and ski to talk about. I'm gonna move this over here, use this as my presentation, because I don't have a presentation. All right, so what is a fat tire bike and why winter biking? And what's the history of winter biking? So a fat tire bike is anything over 3.8 inches wide. 4-inch tire is often 3.8 inches. And right now tire size goes all the way up to about 5 inches. Right now, the standard tire size is 27.5 by 4.5 is kind of considered the industry standard. That's what you want. Fat tire bikes are good for all seasons. Any soft terrain is the goal. Could be a beach, could be mud, could be snow. You drop your tire pressure down, make them super squishy. Forgot that wasn't super squishy. We're talking like 5 or 6 or 7 PSI, really soft. It allows you to float over the surface of the snow that sometimes you couldn't even walk on. You punching through because the footprint of this tire is larger than your footprint when it's at the correct pressure. So they're a really good tool for recreation and for commuting. If you're looking at winter commuting specifically and you don't plan to do any trail riding, when our roads and our sidewalks are well taken care of and well cleared, you can get away in the winter with just any standard mountain bike with studded tires. Definitely recommend studded tires on that note. But if you want to do trail riding and use all the awesome trails that Parks and Rec grooms, along a bunch of other ones all over Gold Spring Valley and all around town, a fat tire bike is really what you need. Some things that you want to look for when you're buying a fat tire bike, we're looking at renting one or something like that. Some key features is you want a really deep, gnarly, aggressive studded tire, treaded tire. Doesn't have to be studded. When you run low pressure, you have really good traction, so you don't necessarily need studs. If you're going to be riding in town or you're around intersections a lot, or if you're on trails that have a lot of icy overflow, studded tires are readily available and are definitely recommended, because it only takes like one time knocking it out and land on your hip to decide that you want to spend $400 on stud tires. So the tires are important. Knowing your tire pressure is really important too. Just grabbing a bike and going and riding it and not knowing any of the little key things that you need to know, it can be a really poor experience, and I don't want anybody to have that. So talk to a professional, talk to your friends that do it, get all of that information. Tire pressure is key above all else. So tires is key one. keeping yourself warm, keeping your body warm, knowing yourself, knowing your layering. I suggest that you layer like you would if you're cross-country skiing or winter running. No cotton, thin layers that you can shed and add on as needed. Always pack a light puffy jacket with you, so if you have to stop and work on your bike, you get cold, you can throw that on. Where are you gonna put that puffy jacket? You gotta have some bags on your bike. You can put a backpack on your back too, but then your back gets sweaty. That stinks. So frame bags. Frame bags are really, really convenient. You can get those at pretty much any bike shop in Fairbanks. We'll have some frame bags for you, including ourselves. What are these things? Your mittens. These are called pogies. Basically, it's just a giant mitten that goes over your handlebars. If you ride ATVs or snow machines for long expeditions, you'll see these sometimes on those. Sometimes you see them on snowblowers. This is the same thing. It's a lightly insulated pocket for you to put your hand into, so you can operate all of your brakes and shifters and everything inside here with a light glove on, and not have to fumble around with a big mitten and not be able to grab your brake when you need to stop at an intersection. So pogies are awesome. I don't actually know the history of the word pogie. I'll have to think about that for next year. But these really are far superior than wearing a big mitt when you're riding. Definitely a key thing to consider if you're gonna get into fat biking. Good lighting is important. Always have a taillight if you're out on sidewalks or roads. It's good for on trails too, because most of the time we're riding in the dark in the winter, and it's good to know if you're coming up on somebody with dogs or something like that. So taillights are real good. Headlights are also really important. A really nice bright headlight. The little tiny ones are good for people to see you. To some extent, it's something, but you're not gonna be able to see with them. So a good headlight or helmet light or headlamp, that's all really important for when you're riding. There's all kinds of little accessory bags you can throw on your bike, for like, this is full of my tools. This has a battery pack for my light, stuff like that. So accessorize to your heart's content. Other key features that are not necessary at all, but are kind of nice to have. There's a lever in here, I push this magic button. It's called a dropper seat post. So it's a hydraulic seat post. Pretty cool. This is designed for mountain bike use. The idea is, you're dropping down something really steep, something's fast. You can hit the lever, use your body weight to slam your seat post so it's out of the way in the descent. And then when you get to the bottom of that hill and you got to climb back up, you can hit the lever, pop the seat up to the ride height, and then you have a nice, good ride height for your climb. So that was kind of the foundation of what this post is made for. For fat bikes, it's a double-edged sword. It's 20 below. This is not going to want to work very well. But when they are working, it's really nice to be able to come to a stop. It's really nice to be able to come to a stop. And just sit there with your foot flat on the ground at a stoplight. Or when there's 6 inches of snow, you're not teetering on your trail, falling off to one side while your dogs are getting tangled up and the dog team is approaching you. This is kind of a nice thing to have. It's nice to have, not a need to have. And then when you get going again, you get up on your pedals, start rolling, and pop it up, and it comes up to where it needs to be. So that's a hydraulic dropper seat post. Yeah, it's seen that. Brakes. Brakes are important. You gotta stop, right? Hydraulic brakes are definitely recommended for winter use. You either have mineral oil or DOT fluid brakes. The DOT fluid brakes tend to work better down to extreme cold, like 30 below. That's a topic of contention. It's kind of like Mac and PC, Shimano, SRAM, mineral oil versus DOT fluid. I like the DOT fluid ones, but any hydraulic brake gives you really good stopping power with just one finger on the brake lever. Cable brakes are totally fine. They're a great place to start because they're way more affordable. You'll see them on your entry-level fat bikes sometimes. The one that we're raffling off tonight has cable brakes, because that's how to keep the price down on the entry-level fat bike. Easily upgraded, not too expensive to upgrade, but there's a few things about them that make them a little less great for winter use. The caveat to that is if you work on your bike yourself and you don't want to learn how to bleed hydraulic brakes, it's gonna be kind of a mess at home, and more expensive to work on at a bike shop. Cable brakes are easy and cheap to work on, so it's awesome. We're trying to outfit somebody with a great Reflectors are great. I've got lights on my bike, so I don't have any reflectors. That one's equipped with reflectors on the wheels and handlebars and seat. Last two little things, pedals and drivetrain. So drivetrain being your gears. Let's set this one back up. So both of these bikes have very, very similar drivetrains, meaning gear ratios from the highest gear to your lowest gear. This is your go fast gear. This is your grinding gear to go up the hill really slow. Fat bikes, you don't need a lot of go fast gears. You need those hill climbing gears. When you're buying a fat bike, look for something that has this really, really wide range and a small tooth ring in the front. That's going to give you your nice low end gear ratios. Oh, it's technically it's a 2-to-1 ratio when you have like a 28 tooth there, or 25 tooth here, and a 50 tooth back here. That tire is going to turn one time for every 2 pedal revolutions. This little stand is cool. I can kind of show that. This tire moving about the same pace as my pedals. So anyway, low gears are important. You don't want a bike that's geared like a road bike when it has tires this size. You're not going 20 miles an hour on a fat bike very often. So yeah, look for those drivetrain key points. This is called a one by. This is becoming much more common in the mountain bike and fat bike industry. And it just means 1 by whatever is here. We have 1 here, we have 12 here, that's 1 by 12. I hear people talk about 1 by versus 2 by, meaning like 2 gears up front. Early fat bikes had that. A lot of bikes have 2, used to have 2 or 3 in the front. 1 in the front with this wide range back here gives you the same gear range or close to the same gear range as older mountain bikes did with 3 up front, 7 in the back. So I hear a lot of topic of contention, people asking, hey, I have this brand new carbon $3,000 fat bike and I want to put 2 gears in the front. Why? You have the same range. I just like 2 in the front. Okay, well, let's talk about how to get you into a 1 by 12 and get you to enjoy it and see how it can benefit you. So that's a drivetrain. That's pedals. When you're winter biking, clip-in pedals versus flat pedals. Flat pedals for use in snowy conditions are, in my opinion, the best. Few people like to clip in the winter. I've done it on longer races where you're not coming off the pedals hardly ever. But in general, when you're looking for pedals for your fat bike, you want a wide platform. I always suggest a resin pedal or a plastic pedal with studs in it, metal studs. The plastic pedal is lighter weight and it doesn't transmit cold up through your boots like an aluminum pedal would. They're just as durable. They're not going to break. Most of them are kind of a composite polymer carbon fiber situation. And you want a nice big wide platform, so when you're wearing your bunny boots or your Steger mucklucks or your Lobans or whatever boots you're wearing, you can have that nice big wide platform under your boot. Yeah, that's kind of the overview of what you want to look for in a fat bike or what you want to do to your fat bike. Above and beyond that, there's all kinds of modifications we can meet. Stock seats are terrible. Doesn't matter how much you spend on the bike. You're gonna want to see something different. We have a full WTB test ride fleet at our shop, so we can rent you a saddle for basically just the cost of the saddle. When you come back to buy one, we just take that off the top, whatever it is, so the rental's free. So that's a really good opportunity in town. I don't know anybody else that does that. We can try to find the right saddle for you without you having to just buy one, try it, buy one, try it. Other things, grips, right? Grips and handlebars. I think this is important to note. Fat bikes across the board come with basically just a basic mountain bike handlebar. It's wide, it's pretty straight. It doesn't have a whole lot of sweep to it, curvature back. It doesn't have a whole lot of rise to it. They're not comfortable for long distance riding for most people. They're really stable, and you want stable, but you don't want to have your shoulders going numb, your wrists going numb, your hands going numb. So something we do at our shop a lot is we get you on a handlebar that has some back sweep, so anywhere from 10 to 17 degrees, excuse me, 10 to 17 degrees of back sweep is pretty common. So handlebars and then the grips. Everybody's gonna come with the standard grip. It's just round, might be rubber, might be foam. not the best for the winter. If you have gloves on maybe, but you want a little more padding often, or you want some cork under there, or you want a shape that's kind of shaped like your hand. So we can help you with that too. All the little things that you might hate about your bike, or you might not like about your first experience riding a fat bike, those are all very commonly changed things on people's personal bikes. So don't get discouraged, come rent the bike from us, try it out, let us walk you through it. I want to get more of you guys out on the trails.
Awesome, thank you.
That's all I got.
Lauren, you're gonna stay up here actually, because you're gonna draw for the bike. Before we draw for the bike, I did just wanna mention, this microphone seems very loud now. Anyways, I wanted to mention that Fast Planning was doing a series of public comment pop-ups, and during those pop-ups, I was giving folks the opportunity to come talk to us about all of our plans that we have out for public comment right now, fastplanning.us, and submit a ticket to basically get an extra entry. So I don't know, I kind of hope that works out, just because I think it would be really cool. We had some folks show up, I think at all 3 public comment pop-ups. So anyways, I wanted to make a thing of it and just show you that I am actually putting them into the drawing. And we're gonna check because of static. Okay, all right, so Dorian, you have at it. The other thing that I did want to mention was that as part of our bike-friendly FBX program that we're working on with Fast Planning. It's dying. We're also collaborating with Simon Rathbauer. He teaches the bike maintenance classes at UAF and Osher Holy Lifelong Learning. And we essentially have a standing Fast Planning seat that we're going to be giving away through our bike-friendly businesses and whatnot throughout the years to come. But for the purpose of the fat bike giveaway, I really wanted someone to be able to win this fat bike and then learn how to use it, learn how to take care of it. So again, the cable brakes and things like that. We really wanted something approachable for anybody. And with that, we're also giving away the Fast Planning seat to the bike maintenance class that will start in about a month at UAF. So yeah, I will need to get your name and number. We'll go from there. But anyways, there you go.
Fun fact, Simon is also kind of like the Fairbanks father of that. He pioneered some of the first wide rims, experimented, it's super cool. We have the actual prototypes at our shop. So if you want to come see some welded together rims, it's pretty awesome. I want to give a really, really brief little, just tell you guys what this bike is. Like, what are we raffling for, right? So this is a Norco Bigfoot 3. We brought Norco into Fairbanks. There hasn't ever been a Norco in Fairbanks, which is pretty cool. And they have a really awesome offering for their fat bikes. There's not a lot of what would be described as affordable fat bikes out there that are really worth spending over $1,000 on. You see a lot of cheap stuff at Costco or Walmart, Mongoose brand, $300, $500, $600. It's like, that is not worth spending the money on. It's like, I understand if that's all you can afford, that's all you can afford. However, what you're buying is something that's gonna frustrate you a lot down the road. And yeah, they're kind of mimics. So I was trying to find a fat bike brand that had an offering that was like under everything else that was available, but I would still run. Like, I would still buy this bike. So this is $14.99 at our shop. That's what you're getting, that's the value of this. They have a wide range 11-speed drivetrain made by Shimano. It's a 1x, all very up-to-date sealed cartridge bearings, which is what you expect from a modern day high quality bike. Disc brakes, cable disc brakes like we said. Aluminum 80mm rims, a slightly more price point tire, but still studdable, which is really cool. You can get a stud kit and stud this yourself. I think it takes 265 studs per tire. You can go to that many, a lot of studs, or you can be selected. It's aluminum frame, aluminum fork. It has all the bike packing mounts that you would expect on a fat bike. It has your 3-pack mounts up here for gear. It has your mounts inside the frame here. These ones are really neat. You don't see that very often, but underneath the top tube here. That's really cool. It also has them underneath here for, that Tullahoma Hot Springs bike packing trip, or maybe the lease cabin, first little 7-mile overnight excursion. So I'm really excited about these. I'm stoked to bring them into Fairbanks and we sold quite a few of the different models already and I've been seeing them around town. So I'm very, very excited for that. Cool. So I guess we'll wrap up this thing off.
Yeah.
So just take one of these.
You know, I'm nervous and excited and everything all at the same time. You got your blue tickets.
I think this is the one.
Okay.
All right. The number, last three, 202.
What?
Everyone's bitter, but you.
Yay!
Oh, and I was gonna comment too, depending on fit, this is a medium, we have smalls and larges, it doesn't swap it out.
So the power manifestation is very real. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's. I guess I just said this. Yay! Okay, let's get a photo. Yeah. Beautiful light. Thank you everybody for coming.
I didn't know you and your baby. I sure did. I didn't know. I like looked at you for like an hour and I was like, you look familiar. It's my basketball buddy. Yeah. So I'm super out of shape.
I'm waiting until the day when my father.
Yeah. Silly boy. Here, what's his name? Hi, buddy. How are you doing? You're so cute today. You put your mouth on everything. It's great. Oh, big. I know, yeah, 47 days. We need like a babysitter. Have you been playing? Okay.